Do, 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 do. The Batman, 1989. Hey everybody, welcome back to the LuckyDog podcast. This is your host, Elias Roush. This podcast is, what was it? Hey everybody, welcome back to the LuckyDog podcast. This is your host, Elias Roush. This podcast is sponsored by EliasRoushMedia.com. Photo, video, digital media production. Today we're discussing Batman. Batman is a 1989 American superhero film based on the DC Comics character of the same name. Produced by John Peters and Peter Gruber, it is the first installment of Warner Brothers' initial Batman film series. The film was directed by Tim Burton and stars Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton, Kim Basinger, Rupert Wall, Pat Hingle, Billy D. Williams, Michael Gough, and Jack Palance. The film takes place early in the title character's war on crime and depicts his conflict with the Joker. It is directed by, unmistakably, Tim Burton, screenplay by Sam Hamm, Warren Saccharin, and story by Sam Hamm. Is it Ham or Ham? I'm not sure. Based on characters created by Bob Kane, produced by John Peters, Peter Gruber, and we announced everyone who was starring. Cinematography, Roger Pratt. Edited by Ray Lovejoy. Music by Danny Elfman. Unmistakably Danny Elfman. Distributed by Warner Brothers. Released June 19th, 1989. Runtime of 126 minutes. It was a little over 2 hours. Budget between $35 and $48 million. I could not even fathom that at this point. How low that is in comparison to, today's $200 million movies and stuff like that. I know there's inflation and whatnot, but still, I think that would probably only still be like a $60 million movie at the most if you counted inflation. Box office, it made $411 million. So on a less than $50 million budget, that is an amazing return. So obviously they had to do more. And if you are a true comic books fan and a true Batman fan, you know that there is more after this. There's Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises. It just keeps going on and on and on. And that's not even including the animated series, as well as the animated straight-to-DVD movies. That some of them pretty good, some of them not so good. You got like The Killing Joke, you got Mask of the Phantasm, you got a lot of different options. So I've went back and watched all of the 90s and 89 Batman, just to kind of revise myself and what was going on in the Bat world, I guess. I'm not much of a comic book reader, and I haven't seen too much of the television show. So basically all my knowledge of Batman comes from just watching it over the years, kind of growing up a little bit watching the Justice League. Obviously, I was just like everyone else enthralled with the Christopher Nolan Batmans. The Dark Knight is on another level of prestige movie that can't be touched at this point. Nothing's even come close. But was saying that I kind of wanted to go back and see what really kicked it off. Batman 89, sitting at 2 hours, 6 minutes, action adventure. The film has movie stars. Before I was really 100% even understood what a movie star was. Michael Keaton, I believe he had just finished Beetlejuice at this point, and he was going to play Batman. And a lot of people were unsure about his, you know, ability to be a comedian and play such a dark character as well. Let me confirm that that was his next role. Let me see what did he do before. Yeah, he was Beetlejuice. Okay, so yeah, he went from Mr. Mom in '83 to Gung Ho in '86 to She's Having the Baby and Beetlejuice and Clean and Sober in '88 to being Batman in '89. And then eventually returning to be in Batman Returns in 1992. So the most interesting thing I find about this series is the formula that they did get this kind of campy, over the top style, almost overly sexualized, hyper realized Batman in a way. Like when you go into this, you don't go into it thinking it's fucking Christopher Nolan gritty take, gritty drama take. Like this is supposed to be campy and a little bit ridiculous, and I think that's where the Tim Burton-esque feel comes from. But you also have the care of Danny Elfman to come in and give some of the most fascinating scores to superhero cinema that we had even heard up to this point. Even past that point, I think Danny Elfman should be praised as, one of the all-time great superhero score creators, or composers, because I mean, off the top of my head, what is that, Spider-Man and Batman this dude's done? I can't think of the other ones that he's done that were revolutionary, but on those two alone were amazing. Let me see what else he's got. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah, the Spider-Man 1 and 2. He's done an immense amount of work. What was it? He wrote music for Men in Black. Even 50 Shades of Grey. That's not really my style, but still, that's pretty notable. Yeah, the dude has worked a lot with Tim Burton as well, until I think they got into argument of some sort. Was it in Spider-Man 2 or 3 that, or was it? I might be getting him confused with Danny Elfman and Sam Raimi. I think that's actually who actually got in a fight, not Tim Burton. Take what I say with a grain of salt. Everything I'm just kind of doing off the top of my head. But anyways, let's kind of get into the nitty-gritty a little bit of it. Let me see if there's anything else we want to discuss. After Burton was hired as a director in 1986, Steve Englehart and Julia Hickman wrote film treatments before Sam Hamm wrote the first screenplay for Batman, but was not greenlit until after the success of Burton's Beetlejuice in 1988. The tone and themes of the film were partly influenced by Alan Moore's Brian Bowling's The Killing Joke and Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. The film primarily adapts and diverts the Red Hood origin story for the Joker, having Batman inadvertently causing, this is kind of a little bit of the synopsis, causing gangster Jack Napier to fall into Axis chemical acid, triggering his transformation into the psychopathic Joker. So that's kind of the lead into the movie. Numerous A-list actors were considered for the role of Batman before Keaton was cast. Keaton's casting was controversial since by 1988 he had been typecast as a comedic actor. And many observers doubted he could portray a serious role. And I think that that's kind of a stigma of a lot of comedic actors, that they can only do comedy. There's a lot of actors that have been able to transfer their comedic abilities into dramatic abilities. Zach Galifianakis, Adam Sandler, Nicholson accepted the role of the Joker under strict conditions that dictated top billing, a portion of the film's earnings, including associated merchandise, with his own shooting schedule. The dude got out right. I think he got like a major percentage of what was going on. the merchandising deals. Like, he knew exactly what he was doing. By this point, he said, the only way I'm playing the Joker is if you pay me an ass ton of money for the rest of my life. And he absolutely did it. And so filming took place at Pinewood Studios from 1988 to January 1989. The budget escalated between 30 and 48 million, while the Writers Guild of America forced Hom to drop out in 1988. The Warren Saccharin did rewrites with additional uncredited draft tones by Charles McGowan and Jonathan Jims. Batman was both critically and financially successful, earning over $400 million in the box office, and it's the fifth highest grossing film in the history at the time of its release. The film received several Saturn Awards nominations and a Golden Globe nomination for Nicholson's performance, and won the Academy Award for Best Art Direction. It also inspired the equally successful Batman the Animated Series, paving the way for the DC Animated Universe, and has influenced Hollywood's modern marketing and developed techniques of the superhero film genre. The film was followed by three sequels: Batman Returns 92, with both Burton and Keaton returning, Batman Forever 95, which had Val Kilmer as Batman, and Batman and Robin 97, which had Clooney in the title role. And kind of just off the top of my head, I'd say that each one of them have a totally different type of Batman in each one of the movies. The first two obviously have the Keaton of it all, but the cast around them changes. I'm actually a little bit more of a Batman Returns guy than the standard Batman 89 guy. I just think what Danny DeVito's doing there and Christopher Walken is just it's amazing, you know. I remember that movie more, I guess, because of the stylistic flares of that movie. But yeah, Keaton versus Kilmer versus Clooney versus Bale. What's the difference in them all? The biggest thing I can notice is how much they enjoy being Bruce Wayne. I think that's, are they enjoying being a billionaire? Are they smiling? Or, how much of a glebe, or how much are they enjoying being Bruce Wayne? I think you can kind of navigate to how depressed your Batman's going to be. So I think on a scale of the ones I like the most, you want to have a nice balanced Batman. So I'm not saying that I dislike Kilmer at all, but I do feel like he's probably the darkest. Keaton is right there too, but I still feel like he has still a little bit more charisma, just a little bit more charisma. Bale is kind of in between there, but he's not like, for me, he doesn't have that charisma factor like Keaton does. But he kind of comes off as a little bit more tired, like a tired Bruce Wayne in his. And then you have Clooney, who is just loving being Bachelor and loving being Batman and loving the bat nips. So I just noticed that Clooney, going back and rewatching them all, he's laughing, he's smiling, he's not really portraying a darker Bruce Wayne. And I know that there's going to be a lot of fans out there that are going to say, well, you're actually messing some of them up. This is this detail, this is this detail. Yes, I'm not going to be 100% with the details, but I think the biggest difference in them is how much they enjoy being Bruce Wayne. And from what I could tell, George Clooney was just playing George Clooney. He enjoyed being the character. Nothing wrong with that, but I just noticed that from watching it. And each one kind of goes in a different level of camp. The first one has A-list actors with the Tim Burton camp, and the writing is almost A1. I think the second one is where they perfect it. They bring in the Catwoman of it all with Michelle Pfeiffer, And I think she just lights up the screen to another degree that make that movie just slightly more better for me and slightly more enjoyable to watch and memorable than the first one. Even thinking about it now, I can only think about Batman Returns because of all of the Catwoman scenes and all of the crazy penguin scenes. It's just like, it's so hyper campy and sexualized and just weird and kind of feels wrong. How is this for kids? How are they selling toys for kids in this? It was just ridiculous. And then as this franchise continues to go on, with the Val Kilmer in the third movie, that one felt like definitely the kind of the darkest. And then the fourth one with what is it, Batman, well, yeah, Batman Forever, kind of, was it Batman Forever? The Batman Forever, they kind of get into the more ridiculousness of it. Sorry, I feel like there is the darkest parts of the franchises are definitely between 2 and 3, Forever and Returns, in my opinion, kind of around there. And that's when we start to get into the more ridiculous, kind of CG animated. I think we have the Jim Carrey acting a fucking fool in this. And isn't that when Joel Schumacher starts taking over the directing realms? Yeah, once Joel takes over in the third Batman Forever, it starts to get weird in a way that kind of feels like it's surrounding more of the sets and the stylistic flair of it. And we're taking away from the campiness of it all and kind of turning it into more like jokes and puns and the freeze of it all. What killed the, I'm not even going to try to do an Arnold impersonation right now, but basically once Joel Schumacher hopped onto the last 2 of the 90s Batmans, that's when things got just fucking weird and off the rails, and it felt like they gave him the keys to Tim Burton's castle, but they didn't give him all of the right. They didn't tell him how to play with the toys right, and so it all just felt, didn't tell him how to make the story cohesive and feel like it went from beginning to end. Like I definitely felt like we went from point to point to point. So that's just kind of a roundabout way of saying how the spiraling of the Batman franchise has happened. The villains get even more ridiculous, from the Arnold Schwarzenegger being Mr. Freeze, and then you got Uma Thurman being Poison Ivy, and each individually I feel like could probably work, but there's so much crammed in those last few movies of the franchise that it just is overwhelming. So with saying all that, where the hell is Batman 89? Okay, so with saying that, Batman 89, yeah, let's hop into the spoilers real quick. We're going to discuss the plot of the film and a little bit more in detail. I would give this an 8 out of 10. Honestly, I'm going to give the first 2 Batmans 8s out of 10s, and then the last 2 probably like a 7 and a 6 or something like that. But yeah, I would say that this is well up there. We're getting A plus, A plus material from Bruce Wayne. And I will say there is a little bit of a critique that it's the villain's movies of the first, the Keaton movies. He's not in it a whole ton, especially the second one. Can't really complain about that because when he's on there, he's so good. So I feel like less is more in some of these cases. So anyways, let's hop into the plot of Batman 89. be sure to go to patreon.com/LuckyDog to listen to this full podcast early. You can also go to LuckyDogPodcast.com for all social media. Here's the plot. As Gotham City approaches its bicentennial, Mayor Borg orders District Attorney Harvey Dent and Police Commissioner Gordon, which the police, Pat, what's his name? Pat Hinkle or whatever his name is in this. Absolutely, he's a joke of a Commissioner Gordon. I'm just going to say that now. Police Commissioner Gordon to make the city safer by incarcerating mob boss Carl Grissom. Meanwhile, reporter Alexander Knox and photojournalist Vicky Vale investigate sightings of a masked vigilante called Batman, who is targeting the city's criminals. Both attend a fundraiser hosted by billionaire industrialist Bruce Wayne, who is secretly Batman, having chosen his path after witnessing a mugger murder his parents when he was a child. During the event, Bruce becomes infatuated with Vale, but interrupts their meeting to secretly pursue Gordon, when he leaves on police business. Yeah, I will say these 1990s Batmans, they are super hyper sexualized in ways that I couldn't even imagine until you watch the Catwoman and Keaton performance on screen. The Michelle Pfeiffer and Keaton, I believe, were dating at the time that they were, or around that time that they were on screen as Batman and Catwoman. I couldn't imagine how many people watched this and were like, all right, we're going home doing some crazy BDSM shit. I'm being Batman, you're being Catwoman. We're going to get this shit on. Like, it is fucking hot. Like, I'm not going to lie. Michelle Pfeiffer is so good in that movie. I almost want to just talk about that one because of how much of a performance it is. Not to say anything about Miss Vicky Vale, but it's just like the charisma. You can just feel it just bouncing, dripping off the screen. And of course, we've got to see how Bruce Wayne's parents are killed and die again. Several times in this movie, by the way. Oh, the pearls. Grissom sends his sociopathic second-in-command Jack Napier to raid Axis Chemicals to retrieve incriminating evidence, though it is uncovered to have Napier murdered for sleeping with his mistress, Alicia Hunt. Although corrupt police lieutenant Max Eckhart arranges the hit on Napier by conducting an unauthorized police operation, Gordon arrives, takes command, and orders officers to capture Napier alive as a potential witness. Batman also arrives to catch Napier, who kills Eckhart as revenge for double-crossing him. During a scuffle with Batman, Napier topples off a catwalk and falls into a vat of acidic chemicals. Although presumed dead, Napier survives with various disfigurements, including chalk white skin and emerald green hair and nails. He undergoes surgery from a surgeon to repair the damage, but ends up with a vicious grin. And it is kind of ridiculous and scary at the same time what's going on with this. They do have some this weird, almost like Russian doctor working on him and stuff like that. And he's, Jack's mad and stuff like that. And of course he's got to kill the guy, he's back, baby. And this purple suit, I mean, by watching it, you should just have an idea that he's just going full ridiculous at this point. So yeah, he ends up with a vicious grin, driven insane by his new appearance. Napier now calls himself the Joker. He kills Grissom at his estate massacres Grissom's associates and take over his operations. I can't remember if he kills that surgeon or not. But yeah, I do feel like the lines that they give Jack Nicholson are pretty good, but I don't think they're as spot on as what they write for Batman Returns. But he's such an A-list actor. I just feel like, why not? You know, he could say anything. It would be amazing. Batman reaches a way to stop the Joker from terrorizing Gotham with hygiene products laced with Smilex, a deadly chemical. Smilex, sorry, a deadly chemical which causes victims to literally die laughing with some maniacal grin as the Joker. And there's like commercials for this at one point where the Joker is infiltrating the grocery stores and stuff like that with this Smilex, and they're showing like models showing up dead and they're with crazy grins and whatnot. Like that's some scary shit right there. Like that's some legitly scary shit. Almost like laughing gas that just makes you just laugh until you die. So the Joker soon becomes obsessed with Vicky and lures her to Gotham's Museum of Art, where his henchmen destroy the works of art within, off to this really funky, fresh beat provided by Prince. And yeah, I think a lot of people might have, you know, have a lot to say about the Prince of it all. I don't have that song in front of me right now. I'll see if I can find it as I'm scanning through it. But still, it felt like they just needed to pump in some 1980s needle drops so that it would make it a lot more, I guess, timely or make people relate to it more. I'm not really sure what the deal was, but the Joker is fucking boogieing. And just everyone's just dancing in the streets, dancing in the museums, fucking up all the art. I was like, okay. All right. Let me see what else we got. All right. So he lures her to the Gotham Museum of Art where his henchmen destroy works of art within. Batman arrives and rescues Vicky before taking her to his Batcave, providing with all of his research on Smilex that will allow the city's residents to escape the toxin. And I gotta say, the fighting of this is a little bit funny, and it just kind of feels like Batman just drops in and just says psh, and has like the bat ring or something like that. What is it called? The bat hook or whatever. And I think the Joker, Jack Nicholson's like, damn, I gotta get me one of those. It was like, oh shit. That's some funny shit. But anyways, conflicted with love for her, Bruce visits her apartment intending to reveal his secret identity, only for the Joker to interrupt the meeting. The Joker confronts Bruce with the question, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Which the latter recalls being used by the mugger who killed his parents. Holy Santa Claus! The Joker then shoots Bruce, but he survives thanks to a serving tray hidden. Sorry, I said her ashtray. Thanks to a serving tray underneath his shirt, and escapes while the Joker is distracted. And again, he's not in suit at this point. He is just Bruce Wayne showing up at Vicky Vale's place like, hey, what up, girl? And then the Joker's like, aha! And yeah, it's like, god dang, I didn't know he was going to shoot him like that. But it's a good thing he had the serving tray under his shirt, so he was all good. And he escapes while the Joker is distracted. At the Batcave, Bruce reminisces on his parents' murder and realizes that the Joker was their killer. Vicky is taken to the Batcave by Bruce's butler Alfred, who has been coaxing their relationship between the pair to bring out. Coercing their relationship between the two to bring out Bruce's human side. Alfred's always trying to help Bruce get it in. I will say that he's normally a dog like that. He's trying to help his man. And I gotta say, I don't recall what is the. Is it Robert Wool? Is Robert Wool the? No, it's not. Michael Go. Yeah, okay. I think it's Michael Go. Or is it Goff? Michael Goff plays the butler Alfred, and I just cannot get enough of this character. He is so fucking. He's funny. He's charismatic. He's like the grandpa / father figure that you always need and want to be there on your side. And I can't say enough good things about him. And he's apparently a good wingman too. After exposing his secret to Vicky, Bruce reveals he cannot focus on their relationship with the Joker on the loose, and departs to deploy the Axis plant used to create Smilex. Meanwhile, the Joker lures Gotham City to a parade with the promise of free money in order to dose them with Smilex gas, held within a giant parade of balloons and funky Fresh Prince music. Batman foils his plan by using his Batwing to remove the balloons, but the Joker shoots it down. There's a lot of imagery from The Dark Knight that I didn't realize was in this as well, or vice versa. Dark Knight took a little bit from this. The Batwing crashes in front of the cathedral, and the Joker takes Vicky hostage within it. Batman pursues the Joker to the top of the cathedral, and in the ensuing fight, he reveals that he knows Napier killed his parents, and thus indirectly created Batman before the latter created the Joker, leading the Joker to realize Batman is Bruce. The Joker eventually pulls Batman and Vicky over the balcony of the cathedral, which is kind of ridiculous again, leaving them hanging while he attempts to escape by calling in a helicopter piloted by his goons, who throw down a ladder for him to climb. However, Batman uses a grappling hook to attach the Joker's leg to a gargoyle. It's classic gargoyle, or bat gargoyle. Batgoyle. Unable to bear its immense weight, the Joker is just holding on like, ever sailed on the pale blue? The Joker falls to his death while Batman and Vicky make it to safety. Sometime later, Gordon announces that the police have arrested all of the Joker's men and unveils the bat signal. Dent reads a note from Batman promising that he will defend Gotham should crime strike again, and asks them to use the bat signal to summon Wayne in times of need. Alfred takes Vicky to Wayne Manor, explaining that Bruce will be a little late. She responds that she is not surprised as Batman looks at the signal's projection from a rooftop, standing watch over the city. And that, my friends, is Batman 89, directed by Tim Burton. Let me know what you thought about the film. Let me know what you thought about the review. Let me know if I can do anything to, keep interesting podcasts flowing and coming down the pipe. You already know what to do. You already know what to say. Anything else that let me see. Some design information. I want to see if I can go to. Sometimes IMDb has some pretty cool information on their facts. The good thing is that it's all in one place, so I don't have to search a whole bunch. So let me give you a couple cool facts about Batman 89. Okay, so Michael Keaton was unable to hear while wearing the bat suit. Wow, really? He said that his claustrophobia helped him get into the proper mood to play Batman. It made me go inward, and that's how I wanted the character to be anyway, to be withdrawn. Um, Let me see. According to Michael Keaton, his background in comedy proved useful in playing Batman because it gave him instincts on how to shape scenes and build dimension into his character. For example, on the scene where Vicky and Bruce are having dinner, Keaton suggested that they be seated far apart at a very long table, and his line of dialogue, "I don't think I've been in this room before." Yeah, it's kind of like dry humor that's just kind of obviously hilarious as well. And another example, he contributed the idea of Bruce hanging like a bat after sleeping with Vicky. It makes all the other stuff even weirder and darker because you're thinking, this guy's off. Which is kind of right, and I can't remember if she knows he's Batman at that point. I don't think she knows. Wait, that's This movie was released the year of the character's 50th anniversary. Wow. Don Johnson, Dale Midkiff, and William Peterson were considered for Harvey Dent. Billy D. Williams took the role with the expectation that he would be brought back to play Two-Face, and reportedly had contract clause added reserving the role for him. During casting for Batman Forever in 1995, Warner Brothers decided they preferred Tommy Lee Jones and bought out Williams' contract. Williams voiced the character in the Lego Batman movie 2017. That would have been a very different performance. Tommy Lee Jones was an interesting Two-Face in that movie, but I would have liked to have seen a Billy D. Williams just as a Two-Face, just to kind of see what would have been. Both of them are interesting to put in that. I like even watching Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. I almost still can't believe it. I feel like Tommy Lee Jones having fun just doesn't make sense in my head, but ridiculousness it definitely feels like is what was going on, especially with Jim Carrey just running around like a maniac. Let me see if I can go to a lower, more exclusive. I bet. Let me see. The design of Gotham City is based on the work of architects Antoni Gaud, Otto Wagner, and Shia Tatsumitsu, and Louis H. Sullivan. In particular, the Gotham Cathedral mirrored in the works of Gaudi and Flugham Museum exterior was directly based upon Nishna Dental Clinic. What? The Nishna Dental Clinic, which Takamutsu designed. Well, that was oddly specific. Yeah, I gotta say, I really like the use of miniatures and the cinematography in this. I didn't realize that Tim Burton was all about miniatures until I watched this movie. I think that it came to my attention. I was like, oh, shit, they just build a tiny city, and they're using special lenses and cameras to kind of film in between and see what's going on. I don't think that Joel Schumacher's work in the latter two Batman kind of... I don't know if they go well with the early two Batman. So with regards of being able to spot if that's a miniature or not, I'm like, that's a toy car, yo. Yeah. Anyways, thank you for listening, watching LuckyDog Podcast, Batman 1989. Take it easy.